Hey, welcome to Kitchen All Over the World. On today's episode, I'm going to try to make Suancai Bairou from northern China. Join me. So Suancai Bairou means pork belly with pickled greens, and it's sort of a soupy thing. So we've got some water at a rolling boil. This is a pound, or I guess that's 2 kilos of pork belly. 2.2 kilos per pound. That's how it works. Or the other way around. No, 2.2 pounds per kilo. So about a half a kilo or so. And with that, I've got some sliced up ginger and some scallions. Plop those right in, as well as some star anise. If you're the dog from Mission Hill, I don't know. We're just gonna use 2 of these. I think they're pretty strong, so yeah, maybe 3. 3 looks good. This is really finely ground, but I'd say use a teaspoon of salt. And let's add in a few peppercorns as well. And we're gonna let this boil for half an hour and keep checking it for any foam that gathers on top, and we'll skim that right off. So the Suancai in Suancai Bairou is pickled greens, in which case we want to use napa cabbage. So I've got this massive head of napa cabbage. The outside is looking, that's alright. It's got some yellowing around the edges though, so I'm going to just rip these off. Also makes it easier to clean. There we go. Chop off the top because that's a little bit yellowed as well. Now, this is my jar, and this is the amount of cabbage that I have. I'm going to use most of it for something else. So let's go ahead and cut this. You just have to make a slit, and then you can pry it apart like that. And it's still quite a bit, so I'll probably use a quarter of this. You know, I'm going to prepare half of it, and we'll see what we can fit in here. If we need other containers, then I will do so. So I'm also going to cut this guy into another quarter and wash it real quick. So I got my cabbage in a bowl, and I've got about 60 grams of salt here that I'm going to just kind of work into there. Pour it in and spread it around. What we want is, I'm going to add some water to this, and we want a 3% brine. So I'm going to put 2 liters of water in here, 60 grams, 2 liters, 2,000 grams of water equals 3%. Divide, beat, math. Do the math. Make sure they're fully submerged. And let's leave this for an hour until it starts to wither a little bit in the water. Alright, so it's been an hour, so I'm going to dump this salty water. And as you can see, you know, it's bending, it's not as crisp as it was, and that's what the salt does to it. It starts to break it down a little bit. Alright, now, if it's not already super soft, you want to crush it with your hands a little bit. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and chop off that core, because we're not going to eat that. And I've got my jar right here. And I'm going to bundle these guys up. Sort of fold them, pack them in. Layer by layer, and after each layer, give it a good bit of salt. I've got these little chilies. According to the Chinese, they have bacteria-fighting agents. You really want to pack this down. While you're doing that, you're crushing it a little bit. Some of the juice is going to get let out. A little salt on top, just for good measure. Press that down. And seal that up, and we're going to let this ferment for a few days before it's sort of a fresh fermented pickle. And then, after about a week, it's really where you want it, and then it can last for ages. So here it is, and it's only about a week, so you can see the color hasn't changed yet, and that'll progressively get yellower, as some of the leaves have, here and there, over the course of months, however long you want to keep it. But once we open it, you can see that there are some bubbles forming, which means it's definitely fermenting properly. And you can see a lot more juice came out of the leaves and is floating in there. So we want to kind of get an equal amount of pork to Suancai. And there's about 300 grams now after we boiled. Got my scale here. Let's see how much that equals. Probably more by volume than by weight would be appropriate. So if it looks like it's getting to be too much, then I'll just go by volume. A little bit more. So, good. And we're gonna slice this up. Kind of like a, what do you call it? Sauerkraut style. All right, so that's 30 minutes. I pulled my meat out of the pot and saved the stock on the side. And what we're gonna do is try and slice this as thin as possible. Got a large pot on medium heat right now. I'm gonna throw my pickled greens in there. I'm gonna throw in the pork. Give it a nice little stir. And finally we got our stock from before, and we're just going to dump that right on top. And we're going to let this cook on a low heat for 15 more minutes. All right, Suancai, Bairou. Pork and Suancai. Or technically, I guess Bairou means white meat, so I don't know if there are other versions with other types of meat, but it's interesting. The whole thing is very mild. It's got a lot of flavor, but it's very like mellow kind of flavor. A lot of pork flavor, but the slight fermentation of the pickles kind of matches really well with that somehow. Yeah, the broth doesn't really scream star anise, so I wonder if I should have put more in. Recipe only called for 1. I put in 2. I don't know. The broth would make a really mean stock for all sorts of soups. Now this over here is just some soy sauce and garlic that was called for in the recipe as a sauce. I don't know if it's supposed to be a dipping sauce, which is what I'm going to try. I don't think I want to dump that whole thing into here, because that would just obliterate any traces of flavor. It's so delicate that, let's see here. Oh yeah, that goes really well with all of this. It kind of rounds everything out, right? You've already got the sweetness and sort of little bit of savoriness, mostly sweetness from the pork, tangy, sour kind of element from the pickles, a little bit of saltiness from the broth, but the soy sauce adds this whole umami kind of thing, as well as the garlic. It's just holds everything together.